Hello guys, my name is Nick and you are watching The Sports Entertainer. Make sure you have subscribed to our channel with post notifications turned on so that you never miss out on one of our daily WWE videos. Well guys, although Vince McMahon's introduction of the wild card rule on this past week's episode of Monday Night Raw was, well, very convoluted and head-scratching to say the least, McMahon's intention was to undoubtedly bring up the Raw and SmackDown Live ratings, which had reached rock-bottom lows the previous week, and with Fox Sports demanding drastic changes to Vince McMahon before the deal with the WWE for SmackDown Live comes into effect this October, the company was desperate to raise up those all-time low ratings. And while they did so ever so slightly, not enough to even be worth mentioning, there are now new reports and rumors that Vince McMahon is not only furious with the overall terrible ratings, but is apparently putting some of the blame on his current top stars. As you saw in the thumbnail and title of the video, these WWE Superstars being the current Universal Champion Seth Rollins, WWE Champion Kofi Kingston, and perhaps surprisingly to hear, considering just how hard Vince has pushed this star over the past 5 years, the big dog Roman Reigns. And we will first start off with the reasons as to why Vince is reportedly second-guessing Roman's drawing power. According to one of our sources, the WWE's top executives, of course including Vince McMahon himself, sat down and partook in a conference call with the company's television partners and future partners for Raw and SmackDown Live this past weekend, NBC Universal and Fox Sports specifically, and both Fox and NBC Universal demanded some serious changes to occur in the coming weeks, namely fixing the horrendously poor ratings, and apparently Vince assured them that the ratings would indeed once again rebound, with his wild card proposition which would allow a number of superstars from either brand, namely Roman Reigns, to work both shows, as Vince believed that especially for Roman Reigns he would draw in viewers for Monday Night Raw after advertising Reigns' return well in advance for the show. However, even with Roman Reigns, Kofi Kingston, and Daniel Bryan making in-ring appearances on Raw this week, the ratings and overall viewership barely budged, which unfortunately for Vince means that McMahon's promises for an immediate turnaround didn't end up happening, despite firmly believing that Roman Reigns, the superstar that Vince described to Fox Sports and NBC Universal as being the company's biggest full-time draw, showing up on Raw would. As we mentioned, the viewership was up a small fraction, but it still was the second lowest viewership in history, certainly not the end result that Vince had anticipated or hoped for. Perhaps Vince isn't the genius he claims to be. As we had mentioned, Vince was reportedly furious upon hearing the barely changed Raw ratings, and he is now reportedly coming to the realization that Roman Reigns isn't the big draw he might have thought he was on his own without a big rival like Brock Lesnar who helps to pull in the ratings. And to put things in perspective, the following night on SmackDown Live lacked Roman's presence, yet it ironically garnered a higher increase from last week's worst viewership in history than Raw did, though again it still was far from being a good number 2, which is where the heat on Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins comes into play. One of our sources has mentioned that Vince is unhappy with the overall drawing power of both the company's current top title holders, and we have been told that McMahon blames the continuously decreasing viewership since WrestleMania 35 on Seth and Kofi Kingston being in the top spots. One source stating Vince's stance on Seth and Kofi is quote-unquote, they are only popular with the WWE's hardcore demographic and do not appeal to our mass audience, indicating that Kofi and Seth aren't being taken seriously as the top stars on their respective brand, while also being under the notion that former champions in recent memory, including Brock Lesnar, were bigger draws in general. Regardless, there's no doubt that Vince McMahon is under a ton of stress as of right now, especially considering there are now new rumors that Fox Sports is demanding for SmackDown Live to maintain 3 million viewers on a weekly basis. Without question, an extremely tall task for WWE, considering the show barely hits the 2 million mark on the best of weeks these days. And unless something drastic happens or Vince dishes out a ton of money to bring back legends and big stars for Raw and SmackDown Live, it certainly isn't looking promising whatsoever. And there's no doubt that the viewership for Raw and SmackDown Live next week may once again dip into new lows, especially following this past week's unsatisfying episode of Raw. Well guys, do you believe that Vince is right for partially blaming the poor ratings on the superstars McMahon has established as a top act since WrestleMania 35? And do you find it surprising that Vince could now suddenly be second guessing the push of Roman Reigns? Make sure you sound off in the comment section down below and do give us your thoughts and opinions on the matter. Thanks for watching The Sports Entertainer. Make sure you leave a like and comment, and also be sure that you hit that subscribe button for all of our daily WWE videos.